Dr. Lauren Young. I'm coming to you from my living room. I am a naturopathic physician at Collaborative Natural Health Partners in Manchester. We also have offices in Glastonbury, West Hartford, Simsbury, a bunch of around the state. I am privileged to be medical staff at ECHN and work alongside a lot of the colleagues in the area, physicians. I specialize in naturopathic medicine, which is essentially lifestyle medicine and does a lot of nutrition, functional medicine, helping your body help itself. So this is a topic near and dear to my heart. I actually have been certified in mindful-based stress reduction for nutrition and use a lot of this in my practice. So I'm excited to bring it to you today. The beauty of mindful nutrition is it's something you can do regardless of any dietary restrictions that you have. You can do this regardless of any kind of diet you want to follow, need to follow. And it's really something that you can apply to a lot of different aspects of your life, which we'll talk about. Certainly anything I go over tonight, you should bounce by your doctor. So what are we going to be talking about tonight is really like, what is mindful eating? How do you implement it and what it can do for you? I guess the first part of that phrase is mindfulness. So I want to talk about mindfulness in general. Mindfulness is a term that kind of came from John Kabat-Zinn, who is a Harvard professor who went and studied Buddhist monks that were practicing a lot of Zen Buddhism. And mindfulness came from this concept of being present in the moment and having a good amount of impulse control and awareness of like what's going on, but without reacting to it. And so one of the cute little phrases I'll use with my kids a lot is no time travel. So if you see this little guy, like if you're projecting into the future, the what ifs, or if you're ruminating on past things, you're not in the moment. When we're in the moment, for the most part, unless it's like a Friday afternoon and we're ready to be done with work, but for the most part, we're in a good space. And that's really a great space to be in when we're consuming food, especially. So mindfulness lends itself really well to any aspect of our life. And especially nowadays, what we're finding is that we have more and more what they call microaggressions against our ability to concentrate and stay present. And so we're finding in studies that people are more spacey and more disconnected than ever, which is going to then translate into how we're present with our meals and with our loved ones, a lot of different things. So again, one of the hallmarks of mindfulness is no judgment. And that is like probably the most important thing I can emphasize with you guys tonight is that unfortunately diet culture and all we know about nutrition is we should ourselves all the time about we should be eating this, we shouldn't be eating that, this is good, this is bad, I'm dieting, I'm not, I'm treating myself. There's all this judgment when it comes to especially food. And so what we want to think about is, what if we didn't judge? Just notice your reactions. And if we can let go of the judgment, there's a lot we can learn on the other side of it. And, I don't dive into judgment too much, so maybe we should talk about it now. A simple way to kind of quiet the monkey mind we all have when it comes to judgment is to label it. So when you find yourself being like, I shouldn't be eating this cookie, instead of that, you could try to flip it and be like, oh, I wonder why I want this cookie. So you can get curious, or you can label it like, I'm judging myself right now. I want this cookie and I'm judging myself that I shouldn't. And then it goes into that whole spiral. So again, we were just talking about our attention spans, including our dachshund, are insulting us throughout the day. And these little microaggressions really throw us off our game. And, they're tying some of this distractibility and these little microaggressions on our brain to actually weight gain too. So these are things that can really help us reduce stress, help with sleep, help with stress response in general, help you be a better critical thinker, and help your overall longevity and quality of life. Back probably 10 years ago now, I would say being a multitasker was a thing to do, right? That was like, you put it on your resume, I'm a multitasker. And now we're finding that that's horrible for your anatomy, horrible for your neurology, for your brain, to do that many things at once, because you're not mindfully present doing all of those things at the same time, right? So we're going to try to flip it on its head, no multitasking, especially when it comes to nutrition. Be present and do the one thing at a time. Again, I'm not going to read all these slides to you guys. You can certainly read through them, but I just want to give you the rundown of a lot of this stuff. So one thing we do is we have a lot to do. We have a very busy lifestyle, and eating mindlessly and quickly or eating just to eat, get calories in, is a very common practice. Having two small children with sports, Lord knows I've had a couple of car meals. We all have. So how do we kind of live in our busy lifestyle and eat and be present to our meals? One thing is to look at, realize that we're just eating to eat and we're not being present and grateful and satisfied by our meals. And so therefore we end up eating more. That's another piece of it. So some very simple ways to look at mindful eating. She's a great resource if you guys look her up a bit, but she's a psychologist, I think, down in Texas. And she really talks about making time for food, slowing down, being grateful and present to it. And there's lots of little ways to do that. And so we'll talk about those, but even just that piece of it, being like, I'm noticing I'm really enjoying whatever it is, that mechanism of being present to it, actually, like, you start breaking down your food the second you smell food or see food. You guys ever like see or smell something and you start having saliva already because like you're like, oh, that sounds great. Salivary amylase is your first digestive enzyme that's in your mouth, and then so your body makes saliva to get ready to start breaking down your food. And it also kicks in a cascade of hormones that gets your body ready to assimilate food into you. And so by just being present for a moment and smelling your food, looking at it, thinking about it, setting intention around how it's going to make you feel, can actually help your digestion and improve your absorption of these nutrients, which is going to make you feel better too. I've definitely have talked about, it's a show on TV. You can certainly get this book at your local library. And Audible is actually pretty decent too. It's a book that it's a researcher who looked around the world at people who have longevity and also really good quality health. So there's these little places, we call them the blue zones, around the world where people have really healthy lifestyles that have translated into very little chronic disease and a lot of longevity. So people living, and they measured it by like how many people in the community are living over 100 with no chronic disease. So one of them that gets a lot of attention is in Okinawa, and they have a practice called Hari Hachibu. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I'm, not Japanese. And it's basically a mantra you do before you eat. And it basically, I'm not going to translate it perfectly, but the idea that you eat until you're 80% full. So you're not going to eat till you're completely full. And watching that you only need to eat what you need to live, kind of thing, but setting this intention, I'm not going to stuff myself, And they found that this Hari Hachibu is one of the unique traits to the Okinawa people that really translates to them having a longevity and less chronic disease, because you're not overeating calories. And you're, again, just dropping in, being mindful of how much you're consuming. So there's studies showing that helps with, again, you're keeping your stomach not stretched, not expecting your body to assimilate so much. Obviously, calories are going to equal weight gain, and they found that these people just have healthy body compositions. So one interesting thing is to just focus on your listening. There's a lot of things that tell us to eat. There's internal cues like hunger, and then there's external cues like a commercial for popcorn before we eat at a movie theater. If you guys, next time you're at the movie theater, just listen to everything else around you in the middle of the movie instead of watching the movie. For 2 seconds, just disengage and listen. It's everyone munching on food passively. It's quite disturbing, but it's like, visual things oftentimes will cue us to want to eat. And obviously also going to the movie theater, we associate that with, soda and a popcorn kind of thing. And so there's those external cues are very loud. So when we're thinking about mindfulness and learning to understand our cues, paying attention to how hungry we are and what is our true hunger. When's the last time you were really hungry versus eating for, I'm supposed to eat, this is my lunch hour, I need to eat now, I'm eating with a client. I know, I know I'm not going to be able to eat later, or I'm exhausted, emotional, and I'm looking for a little energy boost, or it's so-and-so's birthday at lunch and I'm going to grab a piece of cake too. There's so many other cues that affect us. So pay attention to like your hunger level. It's a fun experiment. You can set your phone to it to alarm you every hour and just kind of think, how full am I? How aware am I of how hungry I am. Am I thinking about food at all, or am I not, and why? This is a great way to kind of start realizing we may not be hungry, but we're still eating, or we're really hungry and we hadn't even paid attention to it because we're really good at ignoring our stomachs too. So a great little experiment to do with yourself to kind of give you some feedback on like how well you are cued into your hunger levels. So this kind of talks about it too. I just love the way they laid it out as far as like, my favorite one is when it's a specific craving, it's often emotional. Like if you're really hungry, my kids will do this. They'll be really hungry right before bed, right? I'm going to get a look in a second. And then it'll be like, okay, well, why don't you have these cucumbers? Nah, I'm good. That was not a hunger cue, right? That was a, like, maybe I can get one last treat in kind of thing. So these are great ways to kind of help you understand, oh, I'm emotionally eating right now, and labeling it without judgment. You're going, okay, I wonder why I'm emotionally eating. It's dark out. It's November. I'm tired. I'm lonely. I'm like, what are the things that are cueing you? So we can kind of, again, without judgment, understand it so we can learn from it. Not with any kind of wanting to like shame yourself around it, but just, I wonder why that's happening. I wonder how I could help myself with it. Oh, back to the Okinawan. I probably skipped this slide by accident. A lot of them live for a long time. Super cool. Hari Hachi Bu. Something you could say to yourself. But again, figuring out the Hari Hachi Bu for yourself is almost hard because we're very disconnected from our bodies. So this is a great way to start kind of looking at building that sense of your stomach hearing. I don't know. What a cute phrase for that. Another place of the blue zones is in the French, and they have found to have really long meals. Again, the pace is incredibly important when it comes to mindfulness. We're going to slow ourselves down. We often eat less when we eat slow. Being present with the food, spending time with family can go one of two ways. It can be distracting, but it could also be a nice way to pace yourself and not overeat. Looking at the patterns that we've seen from the French that have in the pockets of France that they have longevity and those blue zones, the longer meals, it's usually lunch, and it's usually pacing them, slowing them down for the day. Like, you know, the lunchtime is a sacred time to be calm and be present with people. Again, the smaller portions is another huge piece of this. So there's small portions, and obviously, if I've never been to France or Paris or anything like that, but I've heard the food's good. So I think the savoring and flavor and tasting and having small amounts of delicious things are a great way to drop in and be present with your food as well. I know it's probably later and everyone's already had dinner, but we're all going to be hungry after talking about being present and savoring food after all this. So again, we talk about slowing stuff down is a great way to help your body get those signaling cues, not be distracted, help your digestion really kick in. A lot of our body's energy goes towards breaking down our food and assimilating it. And if we're running around while we're eating, it's, you know, the classic, you're either in fight or flight or you're in rest and digest, and you can't fight and flight and feed. It doesn't work that way. So slowing down can really help build up all of that. So here's a quick and dirty of how to be present with your food and slow down. One first thing is to set some intention. What do I want to feel like eating and why? It can be I want a piece of chocolate because I've had a day and I know this makes me feel better. That Harry Potter movie with Dementors and chocolate, it's a thing, right? So, okay, I want a piece of chocolate. Let's do it without any judgment. Let's pick something that's supposed to be bad, right? You look at it and you're like, okay, it's a block of brown, not that exciting, but it smells like childhood or, you know, whatever. It smells great to you. When you eat it, truly be present with it. And you can allow yourself to have a smaller portion. Notice how you feel about it, what emotions come up. Sometimes judgment emotions come up, and being present with that. Do you want more? Do you want less? Slowly be present with it, swallow it, and then practice being mindful with it. It's almost pausing between bites. You can do that with any meal. You can do that, you know, in a couple weeks in Thanksgiving. Being present and letting all of your senses experience your meal will get all your endocrine system helping you assimilate that food, slows you down. It helps you be in that moment so you're not time traveling. And it really is going to make an impact on your choices, on how you're feeling about yourself, and being present. And again, like French fries and pizza are in all of our lives, even in naturopaths. And it's a matter of like the number of them and how frequently you're having it, and are you enjoying it? You know, being present with that food is a key component to it. One thing is that our hormones that tell us that we're full don't move as fast as some of our other hormones. And also our blood sugar controls sometimes need, like, you need some time for this to happen. We can't, like, you can suck back a smoothie very quickly before your body can catch up to assimilating all of that. And so slowing down is really helpful to letting your endocrine system help kind of guide you into like, no, I don't need anymore. I'm full. I got my blood sugar under control. I'm in a good space with that. What we're finding now as well is that your nervous system is very hardwired with your GI tract. And when your nervous system is off, your GI tract is going to be off, and that can put you more at risk for things like small intestinal bowel overgrowth or IBS type symptoms, because you're not able to signal properly between your brain and your GI tract. And with that, then it's going to throw off your microbiome, which is all the good bacteria in your GI tract that help us and impact our lives in so many ways. We actually are more bacteria on us than we are cells in our body, if you can believe that. It's crazy. And we're finding that those cues are really incredibly important. And when we eat fast, our vagus nerve can't address all that, and it throws off this signaling. Our stomach has what we call peristalsis, or our whole GI tract. We're essentially straws, right? We're big tubes. And the tubing has a wriggle to it that moves your food along called peristalsis. And when we eat too quickly, we don't get the peristalsis as effectively. And so one great way to help just GI conditions in general is just to slow down and let your body do it in a meaningful way. So slow down. Yeah, I'm not personally that great at it. Again, I mentioned being a mom of 2 kids. You guys are going to see them at the end of the presentation. Sometimes you just have to shovel, So if you accidentally are that way, if you're one of the ones that, like, I just chew fast, I'm talking fast, I'm a fast person, put the fork down in between bites, or try to count how many bites you're doing. Just find a little something measurable and small that can kind of pace you. Set a timer, make yourself sit. That's, definitely one I've seen parents do with their kids before. We're going to be here whether you shovel it or you eat slowly for 20 minutes. So might as well take your time, So that's something else you can kind of do, is mindfully kind of build in some strengths to pacing you when it comes to eating. Other just cute ways of looking at slowing down food. Other ways to kind of make mindfulness happen. If you do that check-in with yourself and you're realizing you're super hungry and you don't have a plan for food, it's going to become a show. There's a reason why tomorrow night the pizza restaurants are all going to be slammed. And it's because, like, if no one had a plan for Friday night, here it is, So being mindful of, I'm getting hungry enough that I should eat something now, or, that type of thing is definitely a key to helping you stay in a mindful mindset. When your blood sugar's low, I mean, we all know we get the hangries. That's not the time to be like, I'm going to pause and wait and smell this apple. That's going to be out the window. You're just going to inhale it. So try to give yourself some space and set yourself up for success by setting some intention for the day of what you might be wanting to try to eat. What are your meals going to look like? How are you feeling about that? Allowing yourself, again, without any judgment, to be like, and I'm going to have a piece of birthday cake, or I'm going to have, I don't know, Jello pudding pop. Do they still even make those? Something like that. Allow yourself to have those little things too. One of the most important things is to not watch TV while you eat. Like, I can never think of a time I've prescribed that. It is so hard to be present and having sensory. You can have music, that's totally fine. Try to eat at a table, even better. But if you're watching TV, you can consume way more calories. There's no way to be present with your food. So I would say, if you can do one thing, don't watch TV while you eat. If you really feel like you like to snack while you're watching TV, be curious about that. I know I'm shooting you guys after I just said judgment. Be curious about why you're wanting to eat while you watch TV. Is it commercials? Is it boredom? for me, I found I don't really stay completely engaged with a television show or a movie. And so I want something else to cue me. And so I found like I'll knit or I'll draw or I'll play a game with my kids while I'm watching a show with them, because then I'm stimulated in that other way that would have been popcorn. But it doesn't make me consume a whole bunch of extra calories. So the other thing you could do is like, if you're going to take a TV break, turn off the TV, eat your snack, and then go back to the TV. That's just another way to be present. Or if you really, really do want a snack during watching TV, I'm hammering this one because I have a lot of patients doing this, and I imagine a lot of us are in this spot. The other thing you could do is only green vegetables. It is really hard to eat too many cucumbers. So slice them up, throw a little salt on them. That's a great snack instead of chips. And that way you're getting your crunch and you're getting a little bit of salt in there, but you're not going to overeat chips or popcorn or something like that. Whole foods are definitely going to engage you more than processed foods. So that's another thing, is try to eat the rainbow and be present to it. Try cooking more in the kitchen. That's another great way to be mindful. Taking a moment of gratitude before meals, just to like think about the food being made and how it got to you and all the steps that had to happen for you to have a meal in front of you, which is crazy to think about how much happens for us to have our produce and all of our great food that we have. I loved this algorithm, so I threw it in here for you guys to look at later. Just that, again, like I think that there's those physical cues and emotional cues. And when you have those emotional cues, being curious about them. And here with this that I really liked is like, okay, they're definitely emotional cues. What do I do about this? And how do I handle it? Two of the ways that this one psychologist recommended would be either distract yourself or comfort yourself, and then revisit it in a little bit if you need to. You know what I mean? So that, and then you could always eat something mindfully for sure. But I liked some of these things because, again, like we talked about, like learned how to make scarves in the shape of Vermont because I'm not very good at knitting, but there's ways to distract yourself or comfort yourself, which is really what you're wanting, is like a way to decompress from the day if you're snacking at night, or you're looking for something else. And again, when you're finding that it's emotional, remind yourself, am I being judgmental on myself? Because that, we're not going to judge ourselves. We're just going to be curious what we need to address the issue. Like, what else could we use other than Oreos? These are all the things you can do to comfort yourself other than snacks. So engage your brain. There's all sorts of fun stuff. Like, do you need, it's basically like, what's your self-love language? You guys familiar with the love languages? There's touch, time, words of affirmation, shoot, gifts. There's one other one. I should know them all. Touch, time, the acts of service. My son knows them. He just chimed in acts of service, which is his. So, if you're feeling like you're having some moments, or you're having some emotional eating, there's a lot of things you can do to kind of help it pass and to nurture something in yourself. So you better than anybody. Kind of be curious if any of these on the list. Some of these were really great. Moving your body, breathing are really good ones. We'll talk about that in a minute. But some people want to receive something and some people want to do something. It's interesting. So, and the other thing you could consider is, even if you're feeling like emotional eating, having a small piece of the thing that would, instead of having a piece of dark chocolate, go really intensely on the flavor that you're craving. That's another way to kind of approach it. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. Other things to be mindful of is anything that gets you more in your body will help you with this whole process of being present in the moment and feeling like you can reconnect with how you're kind of cueing with food and your body and how you feel and your stress response. So exercise is a really great one. We all know that. Everyone knows we should exercise, and we should exercise probably more than we do. That's all of us. Other things, I was going to jump past this slide and say, like, another way to connect with your body is breath work, just stretching, massage. And there's easy like self-massage type things, even if you're just like massaging your hands, if you've been typing all day, those type of things. Anything that's going to connect you to your body again. Breath work, I've said it before at other lectures, so sorry if you guys have sat in with me before, but there's a tremendous amount of research coming out about how important breath work is. Again, we're talking about that nervous system. You cannot have a panic attack while you're having slow, deep breathing. You can calm your body down, and there's a lot of healing that can happen with just breathing. So I encourage you to kind of explore resources around that. If you need some, I'm happy to give them to you. And just anything that kind of gets you feeling in your body will definitely help you kind of connect, ground, and move past cravings, or kind of center yourself so you're like, okay, actually, you know what, I'm good for a salad tonight, or whatever it is. I gave a bunch of ideas for today. You don't obviously have to do them all at once, but some of them may have resonated with you. I think that what I would recommend is picking one thing, putting your fork down, setting a timer for yourself, practicing the savor technique. One that we didn't talk about that I often start people with is a mindful moment before you eat. So in a lot of cultures, it's prayer. Certainly, if that speaks to you, you should do that. Otherwise, just taking a moment to say, all right, how am I feeling in my body? How is this meal going to make me feel? Again, with no judgment. What am I thinking around, like, how is this going to feel? How much time do I have? What does this food look like? Does it look delicious? Does it look like it's like a can of soup that I left in my drawer because I didn't pack myself lunch, and it's going to be what I eat today? That's okay. That's still going to give you nutrients. Set some intention around it. A mindful moment before you eat can really help you drop in and get you from that time travel and get you assimilating those nutrients better. So, um, the other thing I wanted to touch base on is that we're about to go into a season of food as a love language, where people are going to be like, oh, you got to eat this, and kind of like push, getting you to have a second piece of pie and those type of things. These are all great ways to kind of avoid eating more just to make other people happy. One of the other big things around mindfulness is really being present to the portion size you're having, and do you need to have the large portion size, or are you happy with less? It's something that you could be curious about as well. But these are all great little techniques too that I found from an article that are a great way to kind of like, lightheartedly avoid the people whose food is their love language.